I want to say greetings to you all, brothers and sisters. This is Brother DX Davison once again behind the camera lens. Today, what I want to do is talk about this story of the brother by the name of Marc Peeples, who was arrested for gardening while black. Now, this story originally came out of the Metro Times, was published in the Metro Times, and it was posted by Tom Perkins for Thursday, October 18th, 2018. Detroit judge tosses gardening while black case brought by 3 white women. And also, what I'm going to do today, brothers and sisters, via video, is take you to the neighborhood to show you what that neighborhood looks like. Now, along with the video, I'm going to have commentary and show you and talk about some of the things that goes on in that neighborhood. And then what I want you to do is watch the video and listen. And I want you to pay close attention to some of the things that I'm going to talk about. And just to add another note, there isn't a story that goes by every day where there's another story that comes out about a black person minding their business, taking care of business, going into their home, shopping, driving, gardening, whatever, being arrested or being harassed by white people who just can't seem to mind their own business. So without further ado, I want you to hold on tight, sit back and relax, and I want you to watch my video. But before we go to the video, I want to go to a news story. So check this out.
The troubling case dubbed gardening while black.
An African-American man who's an urban farmer ended up on trial over the allegations of 3 white women angered by his work on a community garden.
7 Action News reporter Kimberly Craig tells us what happened and how it played out in court.
Marc Peeples went on trial this week on 3 counts of misdemeanor stalking, and by the time it was over, the judge had harsh words for the 3 women who claimed to be the victims.
These women, clearly were lying, you know what I mean? Clearly they were lying.
They complained saying that you have threatened them in the past.
Marc Peeples says for months 3 women who are white repeatedly called Detroit police on him for working on a garden in an old park on the city's east side, falsely accusing him of being a pedophile and having a gun. And when he painted trees red, black, and green, colors of the Pan-African flag, he was accused of being in a gang.
None of this was true. None of it is true. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, this was purposely done to try to destroy my life.
People's attorney Robert Burton Harris says this was a case of
gardening while black, where you have people calling the police on mostly African Americans for doing very mundane things.
Do you think she moved into this neighborhood to be called a racist?
This man is a friend of one of the 3 women whose complaints ultimately landed Peeples in handcuffs, charged with 3 counts of misdemeanor stalking.
So you got to cuff me and all that?
They were willing to call me a pedophile. They were willing to call me a gang-banging, gun-toting racist, you know what I mean? And I was doing anything but planting the seed, to try to help my community grow.
Hey, the part about him coming out and farming and teaching kids how to farm, it's fantastic. Oh my God, please do more of that, But at the same time, you can't get done digging a hole over here and teaching kids how to do it and then walk over and say, I'm going to burn your house down and run you out of here because you're white.
But when Peeples went on trial this week, 36th District Court Judge Elenise Bryant acquitted Peeples, siding with the urban farmer in a directed verdict. And she believes this was a case very much about race.
It was clearly, in my opinion, that these ladies had engaged in not only harassment of Mr. Peeples, but illegal conduct towards Mr. Peeples.
They just strictly thought that their so-called white privilege was going to work this time, and it didn't.
Marc Peeples and his attorney say they now plan to file a civil lawsuit against the 3 women for, at the very least, defamation. In downtown Detroit, Kimberly Craig, 7 Action News.
All right, Kim.
I'd like to say greetings to everyone. My name is Brother DX Davison. Once again, behind the camera lens. I'm over here on the corner of John R. and State Fair, the southwest corner to be exact. And as I pan my camera around, what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to take you through the neighborhood where Brother Marc Peeples was arrested. And I'm going to give you my personal perspective of what this neighborhood is like, and you're going to see exactly what this neighborhood is like. Now, just to give you a little history about John R. Avenue, John R. Street is the center line between, the dividing line between east and west. A lot of times people think Woodward Avenue is. No, it's this street right here. It's John R. Avenue. John R. Avenue, or John R. Street, is considered to be a county road because this not only goes through Wayne County, Detroit, and Highland Park, and to a lesser extent Hamtramck, but it also goes through from north to south. And what I mean by north to south, it goes into Oakland County. So without further ado, brothers and sisters, we're going to go down to the street to show you what the area is like. And as I stated before, I'm going to add a little commentary along the way. I'm on Exeter Street, north of State Fair. And as I pan my camera around, I'm just going to give you a brief idea of what this neighborhood is like. What is in this neighborhood? Number one, there's a lot of abandoned structures, a lot of abandoned, burned out structures, a lot of blight. Now, just for the record, just to let you know, I used to do a lot of urban exploration. And later on in the video, I'm going to tell you why I quit doing urban exploration. It's going to shock a lot of you out there, but what I want you to do is I want you to hold on tight. Now, the street that we're heading towards is called Remington Street. And as I stated before, this is Exeter. Now, as I pan my camera back around, it is structures like this right here that are being torn down all throughout this neighborhood. And this is what you would call the northwest corner of the city of Detroit. And this area right here used to be a working class neighborhood, lower middle class neighborhood. You had a lot of workers, city workers. You had people that was working in different industries that lived over in this neighborhood. And then also it is multicultural and multiracial, where you have blacks, whites, Chaldeans, Arabs that used to reside in this neighborhood. Now, one of the things is about like houses like this in this area that I'm going to talk about, some of you are going to be like, wow, some of the things that I'm going to say today. So without further ado, we're going to keep moving it along. So hold on tight. Right now, brothers and sisters, I'm over here at the end of Remington Street, on this end of right by the railroad tracks, as I pan my camera around to the right. Now, a little bit about this area right here. As you can see tracks where some vehicle has come through here. And a lot of times this area right here has been used for like a lot of illicit activity, such as John's bringing prostitutes back here, dope addicts coming back here to either smoke they crack or shoot up. And then on the gloomier note, there have been a lot of bodies that have been found over here. And by the way, as I pan my camera back around to the north or to the right, this is the park where the young brother was doing his gardening. Now, he didn't try to do the whole park. It was a certain area. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take you over there. Now, another thing too about this little area also, you had people that was actually living over here. I'm talking about homeless people, hobos, people that would be off, they would come off the railroad tracks and they would come over here and squat. And I remember one time about many years ago, I was coming through here and I seen the little encampment, and it was people actually living back here, living hand to mouth. So these are some of the things that, a lot of things that when it comes to the city of Detroit that people don't know about. And as we make our way around here, this is the park called Hunt Park. Now, what's so interesting about this park, brothers and sisters, is that I remember one time I got a chance to talk to some of the old school residents that lived over here, and they gave me a history. They told me that this park at one time was a viable park. And what they meant by that was that they used to have all different types of activities out here. They would have baseball games, softball games. The young people play football out here. They used to have recreation equipment such as slides, swings, monkey bars, and the whole 9 yards. Now, another reality that I'm going to talk about also, and this is one of my pet peeves, is that a lot of these areas like this one have been used for illegal dumping. And sadly, it's not necessarily the residents that are committing a lot of this dumping. You have people that come from across 8 Mile Road. They go over here and they dump their wares or their materials, their garbage, old tires, furniture, so forth and so on. And it's just not individual residents. You have businesses that come over in this neighborhood and dump. Now, one of the things also about this neighborhood, at night, it's completely dark. Now, as you can see, someone has dumped building materials. And in the background, you see the railroad. And see, that's the one thing about it. In my adventures of doing urban exploration, I've ran across a lot of different things. Now, one of the things that I've never ran across, thank God, is bodies. Now, I have found bodies, but these bodies that I have found was just maybe coming from the store, or going to the store, or coming from church, or coming from the food pantry. Now, I don't know who made this, but this is something that's very unique with these cinder blocks. And as I stated before, some business or some demolition company was paid to probably haul this off to a place that specializes in dealing with this, and they dump it right here. So I want you to keep that in mind. Now we're gonna get to the nitty gritty, to the main meat of what we come here to see. Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters, it is I once again, Brother DX Davison.
I didn't hear you. Huh?
No, I'm minding my business, right, doing what I'm doing, my documentary.
Okay.
Yes, brothers and sisters, right now we're at the corner of Fayette and Winchester, over here at the northwest side of the city of Detroit. And this is the park right here called Hunt Park, where a young brother who was doing the gardening by the name of Marc Peeples was minding his business, trying to better the neighborhood. Now, what's so interesting is that if you go back to the story, if you read the story, or if you watch the newscast, there was a lot of controversy about him doing urban gardening. Now, what's so sad about this is that the brother was trying to do things to improve this neighborhood. And just to show you how damaging that was, the brother was arrested. And then, you know, they even took it to trial, because all based upon a lie. Now, if you know the history of this country, when it comes to black people being lied upon, it's very damaging. Lives have been destroyed. Now, let's, you know, as the brother said, Marc Peeples, let's just say, what would have happened if he would have got a jury was sat up there and they would have believed these 3 white women? Now, I find it kind of interesting. When I came up, if you see that person walking right there, it was a white woman. She came up, asked me, she thought I was talking to her. So I had to kind of like shoo her away, because I don't need no shit right now. But anyway, this is the garden that the brother had started farming, doing this thing what they call urban farming. And then too, these are the trees right here also. As we go east down Winchester here, these are the trees that he painted with Pan-African colors, red, black, and green. Now, a lot of people who don't know what the red, black, and green stands for, they assume that it means gang colors. But it's part of the Pan-African national flag. Anyway, as you look at this area right here, as I stated before, it's a lot of different crazy activities that be going down over here, or that have went down over here, and it's still going down. As I stated before, you have people that, you know, men that bring prostitutes over here. They found dead bodies. Also, they found a lot of stolen, abandoned vehicles over here. So, and I just want you to take a look at this right here. You know, we got these houses that are being boarded up. So the brother was doing a great thing for the neighborhood. And right now we're gonna go look at something else real quick that just caught my eye. You know, brothers and sisters, it's things like this right here that, as I stated before about a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't trying to be funny or nothing, but, well, yes, I was when I was talking about, you know, paying to go into a haunted house. You don't have to pay no money to go through no haunted houses. You got areas throughout the city of Detroit that's abandoned and blighted that you can go through, and it would just scare the pants off of you. It would scare the shit out you. And then in a lot of these structures around in this area, they have found bodies in these houses where some of the addicts have went into some of these houses to shoot their dope, and guess what happened? They end up ODing, not coming out of it. And this street right here is Charleston and Winchester. And the thing that really used to bother me, brothers and sisters, is this, is when you had little children, a lot of little children that lived in this neighborhood of waking up every morning, can't come out to play because of the dangers that was associated with a lot of these structures. You know, not just of scrappers going into these houses, or arsonists, or drug addicts, and to a lesser extent, drug dealers, but you also had situations where you have stray animals living in these houses. Now, it's not uncommon in this neighborhood to find different types of vermin or different types of animals, because right now in this neighborhood, there's deer walking around in this neighborhood. And a lot of times they come out late at night or early in the morning. I'm talking about like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, as I pan my camera around, I remember when I first moved over into this section in the 48203 neighborhood back in the day, back in the early 90s. I remember this used to be a working class neighborhood. A lot of people used to live in this neighborhood. And as I stated before earlier on in this video, you had a lot of different people that stayed in this neighborhood. You had your blacks, your whites, your Chaldeans, your Arabs, you know, from different walks of life. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go down to John R. Right now, I'm at the corner, or actually between, I'm on Winchester, between John R. and Derby. And this is one of the things that I was talking about this area, is that besides the abandoned houses, they have found a number of individuals who have met untimely demises. As I stated before, some of them have died at their own hands through ODing off drugs. Some of them have died due to violence. I'm talking about being inflicted upon them by unknown assailants or individuals. As we go a little closer here. Now, I don't know who this memorial is dedicated to, but you just won't find these over in this part of the city of Detroit. You'll find these all throughout the city of Detroit, east, west, southwest, so forth and so on. Now, another thing too, as I pan around, and I want you to look at all these abandoned houses. And see, it's not uncommon too to see individuals from the suburbs drive through here at all times of the day looking to pick up some companionship, a prostitute. And then also there have been other things that have happened over here. You've had joint law enforcement raids where you have the Detroit Police Department, Wayne County Sheriffs, Michigan State Police, DEA, FBI, Homeland Security, And immigrations come through this neighborhood to arrest people on outstanding warrants, drug raids, so forth and so on. Now, another thing too about a lot of these houses too, a lot of these houses that you see that's abandoned was used for, as I stated before, all other types of activities. Some of them are used as shooting dens. When I talk about shooting dens, I'm talking about dope dens, where individuals come bring their crack, bring their heroin, pop their pills, and then do other things associated with that, such as turn tricks. I'm talking about prostitutes turning tricks with Johns. And then another interesting thing too, as we make our way down the street here towards John R., and I'm gonna talk a little bit about John R. in a moment, is that you had some of these individuals that would barter their cars for drugs. And so it would not be uncommon to be standing on the bus stop or stopping by the gas station or when the liquor store was here, where individuals would come in playing their little violin, talking about how somebody stole their car. But in actuality, as I stated before, they would barter their car for drugs. Now, what we're coming up to now, as I stated before, is John R. John R. is a notorious stretch of road, all the way from 8 Mile, as we come to the left, north here, going all the way south, as we pan a camera back around here. Any time of the day, you can find prostitutes out here, but it's really worse at night. And you got prostitutes that are young, old, white, black. Some of them, you know, speak English, some don't speak no English. And then you got the strip club over there, which is a notorious hot spot. And this right here used to be the liquor store. Now, what happened a few years ago, the liquor store burned, it had a fire. And a mysterious fire. So they shut their doors. Everybody in the neighborhood was mourning for the liquor store, and they thought they was gonna come back, but they didn't come back. And there's a lot of rumors that's going around about what they did with that insurance money, and I'm not gonna get into that right now. So actually between 8 Mile, which you see in front of me, where everybody's headed to the light, you're stepping over into Oakland County. That over there is Hazel Park. And as I pan my camera around, you're going back south. Now, as I stated before, John R. is a county road. And it's not uncommon as we step up here to the bus stop where you see suburbanites getting off in mass at these bus stops. Now, what they do is they come into the city to buy drugs, or either trade sex for drugs. And they come 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3. They come, it's like a whole lot of them. They be coming. And there's Detroit's finest driving by. They come through, and then what they do, they'll spend the whole weekend here. And then in some cases, they'll spend weeks, months here in the city of Detroit just trying to get drugs. Now, what ends up happening, they end up spending all that money in Detroit. And so then what ends up happening, they have to make that trek back across 8 Mile. Now, some of them will be humble themselves to say, well, they need money. Now, I remember one time, me and his brother was standing on the bus stop back down here on John R. in State Fair, and it was a young lady that came out talking about she would perform a certain service just to get bus fare. And we told her no thank you. Now, another interesting thing too about this area is that they have stings over here, where they have prostitution stings. And you had a lot of that going down too, where you had individuals who would either be actively soliciting, or you have individuals that get caught up in the sting. What I mean by that is getting caught up in the sting is that they might be minding their business at the gas station or going to the liquor store. Undercover officer comes up and asks them, do they want to have some fun? So next thing you know, the person says no, they don't want to have nothing to do with that. So what ends up happening, the DPD Vice Squad undercovers will come up, pull up, and confiscate the truck. and then they would get a ticket and be sent upon their way, telling them that they have to go to court. Now, another interesting thing about that is that you've had city workers that got caught up in these things. I'm talking about actually working in the neighborhood. And I believe a lot of the city workers, some of them anyway, is that they didn't, you know, they wasn't even out here for none of that. They was out here just trying to do their job. And so it's just crazy. So that's another thing that was going on too. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this tour as I gave y'all a perspective, a visual or video perspective of what this neighborhood is like. And to show you the park where Brother Marc Peeples was arrested at. And till next time, this is Brother DX Davison. Next time I say peace and much love, y'all.